Other interesting business news, you have Starlink Mobile to partner with T-Mobile for year one, then roll out to all telecom providers. Well, let's be honest, there's realistically three in the United States. You have AT&T, you have Verizon, and subsequently you have T-Mobile, which also, I would say moderately recently, bought out Sprint a couple years back. Now, this comes to us thanks to Elon on the good old X Twitter, and he is responding to Ben Longinger. Now, Ben Longinger says, quote, double F9 launch last night from both coasts. The SpaceX direct-to-cell program just added 26 satellites, bringing our total to 168 satellites. T-Mobile will have no more dead zones in the U.S. later this year, which is good because of all the carriers, they have the least best coverage. Now, Elon responded saying, quote, Starlink direct-to-mobile phone internet is exclusively with T-Mobile in the U.S. for year one, then other carriers thereafter. We are starting off working with one carrier in each country, but ultimately hope to serve all carriers. And it's pretty well. Got about 12.3 million views as well as 42,000 likes. And this is going to be revolutionary for the telecom industry, to say the least. It was a thing back when I was a kid. One of the most magical moments on the green, or I was at the silver screen in the little movie theaters back then, was, I forget which one, but it was one of the Jurassic Park films. And in the film, everyone was in danger because they weren't prudent enough to have firearms at the time, I suppose. But they're all in danger from the dinosaurs, and they were on a sinking raft in the river. And they had to reach out and had to get help. And they were able to do that because they had the magical, well, to me as a kid, it was magical. It was a satellite phone. And back then, satellite phones were comically larger than a regular cell phone. But the benefit was you did not need cell towers because, as the name would imply, it would use satellites to actually relay the information and connect the call. And it was really cool technology. A lot of business global entrepreneurs would use it. And they become more popular, though, again, still more expensive than the standard cell phone. In the United States, I believe the company is called American Telecom. There's realistically one business that owns a majority of the U.S. infrastructure from cell phone towers. Now, in that case, we think, you're using AT&T or Verizon. They don't own those towers. What they do is they basically bid for a percentage of usage of those towers. Hence why one of the reasons you have better coverage is because they simply paid more to have more bandwidth of those cell towers. Now, the downside is there are a lot of areas of the U.S., so mainly Montana and Iowa. I only partially kid. Hashtag go Hawks. But they didn't have a lot of cell towers there, so they have the best reception. Now, with satellites, they're literally all over, and that will eliminate this issue. Now, a little downside for the privacy, you'll have basically we already have very little in terms of your privacy with the GPSs on your phones, but yeah, in terms of, back in the day, cell phone geotracking was, bouncing your cell phone off the linear cell tower, which is, approximate to a certain degree in terms of, they're miles away from you, so they could correlate it and get close. But this is much more precise, so it might be some concerns for privacy. Granted, unfortunately, Americans really don't care about that all too often these days, but it'll be revolutionary for the telecom industry, especially once you get this price. I suspect, like many instances, the price per unit will decrease over time, and it'll become much more affordable for everyone. And yeah, it's going to be one of those things where what's going to happen to all that old telecom infrastructure in that company? Be interested to see what compelling business reason there is to have them around. Now, go to the comments section. One of the individuals by the name of ALX says satellite direct to cell is the future, getting 634 calls. World of Statistics, one of my favorite profiles, says there are 4,759 satellites in service, which is astronomical. I don't think the average person realizes how many satellites are really up there. I was about to say just roaming around. Getting 500, that got 552 likes. AKA says, let's go, this is huge. Getting 99, it's getting us 3 digits. 100, now 101 likes. That's Fresh 84 says, this is incredible, Elon, getting 87 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, LFG, getting 126 likes. The Rational Post says, I spell Starlink phone in the future, centered around privacy, trade, and uncensorable by government, free speech, free trade, free from government stooping, freedom. Getting 462 likes. I guess you'd have to worry about the transaction fiscally speaking. Perhaps you do a Bitcoin transaction, though that might be prohibitive for some people. But yeah, don't forget the credit card industries that are the gatekeepers to a lot of business transactions and can shape or break an industry. Scrolling down more and more. Penny2X says, imagine when the first person is saved from the surface, getting 176 likes. Very true. Again, that's a big benefit, especially in the middle of nowhere, if you're hiking or something like that. I mean, you'll be able to make those calls where you would not be able to in many instances with the traditional telecom infrastructure. Let's see here. Naomi Seabits, Starlink is providing an invaluable service to the world, trustworthy, reliability, and vital in today's age of information warfare. 391 likes. I'm going to butcher this name, but not intentionally. Amawamba says, my brothers from Kenya, are you seeing this? Getting 126 likes. And again, and especially when you go into global technologies, especially there's more rural areas, some parts of the Middle East. Well, all countries have rural areas, but yeah, imagine if you're a developing country, you don't need to worry about building out the infrastructure of all those cell towers. That's a pretty compelling use case to adopt this technology. Now, as some countries have more and more of a controversial or of a confrontational relationship with Elon, that might prevent some from wanting it to work in their country, but it'll be interesting to see how will they try to stop it. But from the telecom industry, that's going to be revolutionary. And yeah, I think it'll improve a lot of cell phone service for a lot of folks. And let me know, do you have a preference? Is this something where a lot of people, and then do you think the average person just won't care in terms of they don't care how their phone connects to the network as long as it's fast, reliable, and economical? Or do you think some people might actually oppose this? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.